Hello and welcome to the Lou Review podcast. I'm your host, Rosa Hart, and on this podcast, we interview local business owners and nonprofit leaders about what they are doing that makes the Louisville, Kentucky area a great place to be. Today, I am joined by Libby Gray of Gray Ice Higdon, which is a law firm here locally. Thank you so much for joining me today, Libby.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, so we connected through some women's business events, and I was really impressed with how you support other women business owners here in town. And so I'm so thankful you're letting me kind of spotlight you here.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Can you share with us some of your background and your connection here in Louisville?
Sure. I have one of those stories where I really had no connection to Louisville before I made it my home. I grew up in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, a suburb of Minneapolis, and took kind of a circuitous route to college, but I ended up graduating from University of Oregon in Eugene in '93 with a Spanish degree. No inkling at that point that I had any interest in the law. After I graduated with my Spanish degree, I was going to actually go into social work, was the path I was on, and just could not find the right job and the right fit. I had been waitress to get through college and just continued to waitress. And about 3 years after graduating, I thought, okay, I've got to do something. I need to go to some kind of professional school or further my career somehow. And really just on a whim, took the LSAT to see how it would go. I didn't tell anyone I was doing it.
You took it for fun?
Well, just to see if that was a path, a potential path. Took it, did well. I started at a law school called Golden Gate University School of Law in San Francisco. So I moved to San Francisco, did 1 year of law school. After that, I decided to transfer for a variety of reasons and applied to a bunch of different schools around the country. It was a funny story. The transfers happen in like early August when they know who is going to come back for a second year, how many spaces they would have. At that time, this is all pre-cell phone. This is in 96. Yeah, 96. And so I had all the applications go to my mom's home address in Minnesota. Back to U-Haul, all my things, was driving across country every night. I would go to a payphone and call her and find out where I'd gotten accepted, where I'd gotten rejected, and just drove and decided on Vanderbilt in Nashville.
Whoa.
Yeah, so got to Vanderbilt, I think 2 days before classes started as a transfer. No car and a hotel, and just went from there. Early that second year, so I just moved to Nashville. That's when they do interviews for summer clerkships. In the law, the clerkship between your second and third year is a really important one that you hope to get a permanent job. From that, I just moved there and interviewed with some people from Louisville. I did not know this area at all, but I thought, I just need to get something on my resume. I just moved here. Let me try to get some good experience. Came up here, really liked it. Came up here for the summer, loved it. At that point, it was Greenbaum, Della McDonald. It's now Denton's in downtown Louisville. So got the permanent offer at the end of my second year and came back. That was 98. Never thought in a million years I would still be here. Met my husband about 3 years later and then really developed roots because his whole family was from here. And now it's 28 years later, and I consider myself a Louisvillian.
Right. Well, I'm from Tennessee, so I love that you came through Tennessee to get to Louisville. And we've definitely put in deep roots here since 2010 when I got here. Like, this feels like home, even though my family's back in Tennessee. But there's so much to love here.
There really is, and it's such a great, I think after having lived in big cities in Minneapolis and San Francisco and Nashville, which is much bigger, there's something, just the quality of life in Louisville is such an easy place to live, all in all, with the, cost of living and traffic and all kinds of other issues bigger cities have. So, and I found it very welcoming and very easy to meet people. I've heard people say the opposite, that they find it difficult to break into. I don't know if you had a different experience, but
I think it's definitely easy to meet people. But I guess you just have to always find the people that you click with, right? And so if you run into them sooner rather than later, then that's great. So I'm really happy we got together and clicked. So
absolutely.
With your legal practice, at what point did you decide to kind of create your own law firm?
Well, and I did it with 16 other partners. We came from a firm, Middleton Reitlinger. I was there from 2010 until 2022, and it was not a big, long plan. It happened very suddenly through a variety of events, really in like a 2 or 3 day period that we decided
Oh,
to start on. And when
that's
I say
very
really
sudden.
quickly, it was really quickly. Yeah, we all took a leap of faith together. It's a group of us who really wanted to continue to work together and had very specific goals in mind of what a new firm could be like to do that.
Yeah, and is that the point at which you got the building you're in now, where I met you, or was that later?
Well, so we decided it was in late November of 22 that we decided to start the new firm. We all left, I think, like December 12th of 2022, and for about 9 or 10 months, we were just working out of our houses. We did find some temporary space, which was a godsend, over by across from Lomu. So, and it had maybe 3 offices. Certainly, we're 60 employees at this point. So we would rotate in. You know, we each had our day of the week that we could go to the temporary space and at least see our colleagues and have some social interaction, which was great, and meet clients and things like that. So probably in February or so of 2023, we found the space we're in, which we are in St. Matthews, above the old Bacon's building, Birdhoff's building, for those who have been here for a long time, above Drake's and Havana Rumba, which is a fabulous place. And we found that probably February, March. At that point, it was an empty shell. It was really just a blank slate. And we put together a design committee of the firm and started construction. We moved in right after Labor Day of 23. So we've been here not quite 2 years.
Okay, now tell us about your beautiful design plan and all of the human considerations you put into it, because you're showing it to me when I was at the office. Please tell us about all of the priorities you were able to put into the structure of the office.
Right. So the most important thing that we did, and that's really been one of our guiding principles of the firm, is to be entirely inclusive with our firm and get viewpoints of every group of employees that we have for the firm. So that started with the design of the office, and we put together a committee. You know, we had a representative of secretaries, of paralegals, of associates, a junior partner, a senior partner, just so we could consider everyone's viewpoint, what each group needed to make them as productive as possible and happy as possible and have everything they needed. So that was a really, really important decision, just to get it started off right. And we worked with a fabulous designer, and you know, it took a lot of time, but I'm really glad we made the investment of time. One guiding consideration is that every office is the same size, and we wanted that whether you're brand new graduate from law school or a paralegal or a managing partner. We did not want there to be barriers. We'd all worked at firms that had the corner office partners and kind of the prestige and the status of that, and we just wanted it to be much more inclusive. So that was an important consideration. All the offices are glass, and again, just to be inclusive, it's just much less intimidating. I remember as a young associate having to go talk to a partner and how scary it was to knock on their door or not know, am I interrupting them? And who are they in there with? And it was really stressful. So this way, all the offices are glass, for better or for worse. We can see everyone.
Right, because I was going to ask, do you ever feel like you're in a fishbowl?
You know, I don't, no. And you know, there are times where if I'm on something like this, I'll put a sign on my door, please do not disturb. But otherwise, it's easy to make eye contact with someone, and you know if they're in the middle of something, if they're on the phone or that kind of thing. It just makes it much easier, more comfortable to walk down the hall and talk to your colleagues. And then we designed this great big work cafe, which is where we had the events where you were here. We really wanted a place where all of our employees could come together, and where we could host community events, host people. And we designed it to be kind of a coffee shop vibe.
It really is.
Yeah, where we wanted, again, if people wanted to collaborate, that was a place they could go. A lot of our, especially younger attorneys, go in there and work quite a bit. They grew up kind of going to coffee shops and working. It's just comfortable for them to hear a little background noise and to be have some activity. So that's been, I think everyone would say that's their favorite part of the office. We have a little bit that goes outside onto a balcony. Those who need fresh air. And we have a lot of conference rooms, different sizes, including what we call huddle rooms. When we did the new offices, having all the same sizes, they're plenty big, but they're not big enough to host 3-4 people in your office, like we used to be able to do at other firms when you had the big corner office with sofas and the whole suite. So we use these huddle rooms more to meet internally than conference rooms, client interactions. So yeah, it's been we all love the office. It's so convenient, right at St. Matthews. So many good places around us. Free parking, easy to run a Target errand at lunch or do something.
Well, that is important.
It is.
Target access. Not This episode is not sponsored by Target, but Target, if you want to and you're listening, you're welcome to.
Yeah, exactly. The drive-up option is great.
Yeah. So I came to a meeting about intellectual property for women in business specifically. And shout out to Holly Hartman for pulling that together with you.
Absolutely.
And let's see, what inspired you to focus your legal practice on intellectual property? And how do you feel like that shaped your connection to the local business community?
Well, I think intellectual property, first of all, every business can often be the lifeline of a business. It's their brand, it's their image, it's what they own, tangible or intangibles, and so important to protect. The firm I was after Greenbaum, Middleton Reitlinger, where I was for 12 years, that had a large focus on intellectual property. I'm a commercial litigator and always been a commercial litigator, but at Middleton Reitlinger I was exposed to so many IP or intellectual property clients because that's what they had. So often the litigation matters involved IP, theft of IP. A lot of situations where an employee leaves for a new employer and takes pricing lists or customer lists or things they shouldn't with them, which is all litigation, but it also involves IP as really the most important asset. And as technology's evolved over the last 15, 20 years, it becomes even more important.
Right. And now we get to think about people's faces and voices that can be duplicated artificially. We won't even go into that, but yeah, things evolve over time.
Yeah, exactly. It's just been happened not, wouldn't say maybe completely intentionally, but something I've really enjoyed. I've always liked. One thing that's changed over my career when I started practicing law in '98 is just the digital footprint people have, and in litigation, the discovery process where you ask for information and you get documents or information. It used to be we would get file cabinet documents and look through hard copy documents. I've been as a young associate, many warehouses looking through boxes and boxes of documents. Now it's all digital for the most part. And so that's, I think, to be current in the law, you have to evolve and at some point with intellectual property and being able to understand the technology, work comfortably within the technology.
So in working with local businesses and creatives or maybe even food businesses here in Louisville, how has working with their intellectual property allowed you to uplift and maybe protect those businesses? I
love nothing more than working with business owners, especially when they're just starting out and it's so exciting, all their future and dreams and what they're working towards. And I feel like the protection we can give either through something like trademark protection, which many of my colleagues do, or patent protection, or if there's an issue and we need to litigate, either defend their IP or bring claims to protect their IP. It can be a make or break situation for especially a small business, any business really.
Yeah, it could be the defining factor of whether or not you have a business, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've seen situations where clients have invested all of their money and time into a certain, let's say, name of their business, maybe a restaurant. They've got menus printed and the website made, but they never went through the process to make sure it was a name they could use. And after they open, they get nasty letters and just completely derails everything they want to do. So when I can work with businesses on the front end to do it right, either protect what they have or ensure they're not trampling someone else's rights.
Like, do you have access to do a name search that maybe other people wouldn't have access to do?
We do. Yeah, we subscribe to all kinds of proprietary databases, so patent, trademark, copyright, everything. And my big takeaway that I always tell people when I speak to audiences in the legal arena is just if you can invest at the beginning and do it right, it can save so much time and money down the road. And I know it's so hard with a new business. You're trying to stretch every penny, but it's just really worth the investment to do it right, not pull off contracts from ChatGPT or Google or wherever someone got them. I mean, that's just what I do in litigation. 98% of the time when you look back and kind of Monday morning quarterback it could have been prevented, whatever the litigation issue, just by some diligence and more investment on the front end.
So is that what you would wish every small business owner or creative entrepreneur would understand? Just do that from day one?
Absolutely. It's hard. I know it's, I know how precious the early money is and how people are trying to just get it off the ground, but without the foundations of protecting your business and even getting it. I just worked with someone recently who had picked a corporate form, like an S Corp, which is a certain type of corporate entity, to launch their business. Got pretty far down the road. It was absolutely the wrong type election, and it just took so much more to unwind all that and get it set up versus they had a brief consultation with an attorney, which would be me, colleagues who does corporate transactional work, and just to get it started off in the right way. It's just
So I know that there are some like clinics for different like low cost options for different groups of people. Are there any low cost or DIY steps that entrepreneurs can take to protect their brand before they're ready to hire an attorney so they can get their feet under them?
Yeah. So there are some publications that are available online. There used to be a series called NOLO Press, NOLO. I think that's still around. That's more do-it-yourself legal. I know there's also, like, you hear it advertised on the radio, LegalZoom or places like that. That's going to be better than nothing, because at least they're going to take what jurisdiction you're in and know what the laws are. I would say that is definitely a better investment than just complete DIY trying to do it on your own through Google. There is a legal aid program here in Louisville. I don't think they have any IP attorneys, and that's more for more like crisis moments, like being evicted or something like that. So I don't know.
That's more what I had heard of before. So I didn't know if there was anything in this space that could help people who are just...
No, but my hope is, like, even where the event where we met, that was a panel that gave very brief 10-15 minutes kind of per topic. Any kind of education like that
was so valuable.
Just to know, you don't know what you don't know, but just something to know what's really important to invest in and what you can do down the road versus what really is essential to do at the beginning.
Yeah. So referring back to that, there was some really good advice shared about trademarks, copyrights, and patents, and how to get that process started. Can you share a brief overview of what people need to know about starting a trademark process, for example?
Yes, we'll definitely get you connected to the right person in my firm would be the first piece of advice. But we have 17 registered patent attorneys and 6 attorneys that work with trademark and copyright, and really cover any type, especially in the patent area. What may be for your medical device is going to be very different than an AI program, for instance. We have engineer backgrounds of all kinds to cover any kind of need there is. So connecting someone with the right person, I'm always happy to connect someone with the right, to understand what they need and connect them with the right person. And then we offer a lot of flat fee, right, for especially patent and trademarks and things like that.
Yeah,
so
that's really
everyone
helpful.
knows exactly what the investment is.
Yes.
And exactly what, for this amount of money, this is what you're going to get. And I think that is very, very helpful, especially to a new business owner.
Right. Then you can budget for it instead of just an arbitrary number of it might be this many hours or this many hours. We don't know.
Exactly. And, they'll be able to walk you through the process of just the type of searches you do at the beginning. You first need to make sure that it's eligible for either patent protection, trademark, or copyright, and walk through what the process would be like, what the timeline would be like. I will say the most important thing, both with patent and trademark and copyright, is to get your application on file before your business opens. It's that file date that controls. So if someone else comes up with the idea later. And there's some exceptions to this, but just generally you want your application to be on file first. It's kind of a first to file.
And did I remember something about you can use the TM for a trademark before it's processed through? Is that correct?
That's right. There's some common law rights, trademark and copyright, and so yes, they would. The trademark, copyright, or patent attorney would be able to explain just what the rights are when they attach, and right.
Do you see intellectual property as a tool for economic empowerment, especially in underserved or creative communities that normally would not be exposed to the kind of processes that need to be put in place?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very powerful to protect your image and your brand. And so I think for any group of people to be, when something's your baby and it's your new business and you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears into it, to know that you're going to have that protection and someone's not going to swoop in and take your idea or use your name, I think that can be very powerful and empowering.
Yeah. So how do you personally like to stay involved in the community? Are there any mentoring programs or workshops or pro bono work that you would want our audience to know about?
Sure. I've recently gotten involved with Leadership Louisville. I'm part of their Elevate Council. I love anything where women are working with women and helping women. And so the Elevate Council oversees, they have a new program called the Alice Houston program, which is a fabulous, they've always had Ignite Louisville and Leadership Louisville and Bingham Fellows, but this is a new one just for women. And kind of mid-career level women. And then Elevate Council serves as mentors to the women going through this Alice Houston program. So that I've really enjoyed, and and sometimes it's nice to get out of the legal world and meet people and women of all different industries and areas. So I've really enjoyed that. We had a fabulous retreat in Asheville earlier this year, which was
lovely,
worth it just for that. And then on the legal side, I'm involved with the Louisville Bar Association on that board, which is a really important organization to the city and to the legal community. Worked with them we created a new lawyer program this year, which is great for law school, teaching lawyers what they need to know that they didn't learn in law school. That's not content based. It's more things like, how do you bill your time? What work-life balance? How do you talk to clients? How do you network? How do you get business? Things like that aren't really content, but I've enjoyed that very much.
Oh yeah, I bet that's really
like Whoa Network, where we met. That's been a really fun group, and nice because so much of it is online. I love that they have opportunities to connect in real life, but when you're really busy, it's sometimes nice just to be able to connect, and it's been really helpful to find people and to find the right people.
Yeah, the people who share interests with you and your values are aligned with.
Exactly. And then I'm one of the managing partners of the firm, so through that I go to a lot of conferences and things like that, just to help elevate the firm.
Yeah. So for someone who's listening today who's just getting started with a business idea, what is one piece of legal advice you'd want them to act on right away?
Just to dot your I's and cross your T's and do it the right way from the beginning. It's hard to do, but it is absolutely worth it. If you're investing in yourself and your business, that's one investment you really need to make to have everything. And I would say lawyers, we'll have an initial consult with people at no charge, 10-15 minutes, just to find out what their needs are, if there's a good fit. I'm constantly, if we're not the right fit, referring people out to a person or a firm that may be. So there shouldn't be anything intimidating about contacting a lawyer and exploring what you need. We look at it as we're in it for the long-term relationship. So even if we tell someone, no, you really don't need to spend that money now, in a couple of years you may think about them. We see that as a long-term relationship and in it for the long game. So if you can work with the right attorney, and we're called counselors, is another kind of alternative word for attorney, and I think a good attorney really is a counselor. I mean, it's counseling someone need to do with their business to make sure they're protecting it and ensuring they're complying with the law. So if you can find the right counselor, I hope it's a long-term relationship and can help you understand what you really need to do.
Yeah, and that is such a more inviting way to think about attorneys than the way it's portrayed on TV all the time,
Correct.
right? Where they're battling it out in court or investigating things. So I'm really glad you were willing to take the time to just share this very nurturing perspective you have on it. And so if anyone is listening and would like to reach out to Gray Ice Higdon, how would they best do that?
Sure. I'd be happy to become a point person and connect you with anyone within our firm. My direct dial is 502-625-2848, and email, which is always seems to be the best way to reach people these days, is egray@grayice.com.
And I'll have that in the show notes too.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah,
Yeah,
make it
happy
easy.
to
One click.
Connect with anyone, anytime. Get you to the right place.
And if you've enjoyed this episode of the Lou Review podcast, made possible by the Lou Review Foundation, Inc., please subscribe and like it wherever you are listening, if it's on Spotify or Apple, or if you're watching on YouTube. And leave us a comment if you learned something, or if you have more questions that you need answers to, like who's another great Louisvillian we need to learn about that's making the world a better place. Let me know who that is so I can spotlight them next, and I'll see you in the next episode.